Now, into the ticket office of Disneyland.
Oh boy, let's do this.
Don't think the CIA is going to be trying to hack your second-gen iPod.
I didn't think so. There might have been a lot of illegal music on there. I wouldn't doubt it. But, I mean...
You were supposed to bring death to the flagships, not join them.
Google has found a new way to piss me off.
iTunes is a constant source of embarrassment.
Every time I say it, it's going to suck even more.
Everyone's idiots.
I am Nadella. I can't do it anymore without laughing. I was going to do the whole thing.
Welcome, everybody, to the Calling All Platforms podcast. I'm your host tonight, Caleb, and I'm here with Landon.
Hello.
And I always put that inflection on Landon's name like I'm about to follow it up by saying, and here's Wes, even though we all know if I'm the one talking at the beginning of the podcast, Wes is not here.
Yeah.
It's work. Wes had to work and wanted to, well, he has to work early tomorrow and wanted to have an actual reasonable amount of sleep before he went into work. Like a crazy person, I'm going to pull an all-nighter tonight. I don't know what he's doing. I'm just kidding. I turn into a potato after about 10:30. Anyways, welcome to the podcast. We're going to catch up on all the news, not all of the news that happened in tech this week. We're going to catch up on everything non-gaming related this week. Because Wes is gone, he has thoughts and opinions on Gamescom, so we're going to save Gamescom. We're going to hold on to that.
Wait.
That's
You don't think I
next
have
week.
opinions on Gamescom?
I don't think you even knew Gamescom was happening. That's what...
I knew it was happening because you guys mentioned it in Slack last week. So
That's true.
I did know
we did
it was
drop
happening.
that hint. Yeah, no, that's I don't think you have any idea of what happened at Gamescom this week.
You know what? You are correct.
So, got it in one. Now, what I do think you have an idea about is what happened with Google this week. So, listener, we're going to dive right into the Made by Google event.
Yeah. Made by Google. That happened, and it was something. It was
The enthusiasm is palpable.
So, listener, before the podcast, I told Caleb I'll get to the actual event itself at the end because I want to do the good stuff first. So, the phones. We'll start with the phones because I actually liked the phones this year. They're pretty decent.
Okay.
So, they announced the Pixel 10, Pixel 10 Pro, Pixel 10 Pro XL, and the Pixel 10 Pro Fold. Man, it's a lot of stuff. I still hate the fact that they call the Fold phone the Pro Fold.
Yeah, because there is no non-Pro Fold.
Yes.
You know?
And if there were a non-Pro Fold, I mean, I get why. Well, okay, we'll get to that in a little bit too, because I mean, the fact that it's called a Pro, it boggles my mind. The only reason they call it a Pro, I think, is because of the price. But anyways, let's start with the Pixel 10. It's a Pixel. Yeah. Yes. It's actually not it. Okay, again, I do like all of these phones. I think the specs on them are fine. They're nothing crazy out there like any Pixel phone is. Usually, like all of them are just they're good phones. And I mean, the big story with any Pixel phone is always the software. But we still will go through these specs because that's what we do. Pixel 10 has a 6.3-inch Actua display. That's what they call their displays. It's fun. It's a 1080 by 2424 OLED display. So nothing fancy, but fine. Also has as they call it, a smooth display, but it's a 60 to 120 hertz. It's not all the way down to 1 hertz like the Pro phones have that. And that's, again, it's fine for the regular Pixel 10. It has a peak brightness of 3000 nits, which is actually pretty good.
Ooh,
so
that's solid.
I'll take that. Battery life on this phone, they're claiming 24 plus hour battery life like every other manufacturer out there because that's what you do. It has a 4970 milliamp hour battery, so it's fine.
Okay.
Decent size. The best part about the battery, though, and this goes for all four phones for that matter, actually, they are Qi 2 compatible, and not just Qi 2 ready. No. These phones have the magnets built into the phone.
Yeah.
Finally, we have an Android phone that's not just, I mean, we did have one. It was HMD, but listener,
Yes.
you probably had never heard about HMD until we mentioned it with that phone.
Yep.
So that's fine.
Okay, but hold on. Tell them the dumb part.
Well, I guess the dumb part to me on this one is that the 10 and the 10 Pro have Qi 2. The 10 Pro XL is Qi 2.2, so that one gets 25 watt charging, and the 10 and 10 Pro just get up to 15 watt wireless charging. That's one of the dumb parts. The dumbest part is the name. It's called Pixelsnap, which,
oh man,
it's
like, I'm sorry, Google. Just because Apple gave it a dumb name doesn't mean you have to give it a dumb name. You can just say Qi 2. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's I don't. It's like if at some point in time, Apple is going to start naming the USB ports on their devices some weird name, and then everybody else is going to feel like, oh, no, we got to start calling these our like Super Pro XL ports or something, and it's just like USB 4.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Thanks.
I mean, the worst part about the Pixelsnap name is that it just means that Samsung is going to have an even dumber name for theirs.
Oh, you're right. No. Oh, because like Apple was getting away with it without Samsung copying them because they released the thing before Qi 2 was the thing. So MagSafe was technically distinct from Qi 2, but then the standard got updated to include MagSafe in Qi 2. And so, okay, fine. They get grandfathered in with the dumb name. But now that Google's given it a dumb name, Samsung's going to be like, oh, crap. Quick, dumb name generators online.
Yeah, seriously. That's what they're going to use Samsung's AI for, is dumb names. I mean, MagSafe to me it's a dumb name in what it actually does for the phone. It was brilliant for what it did on the computers, and it still is because they brought it back on the computers. And so I don't hate the name, even on the phones, just because it's kind of an iconic name, MagSafe. You know, everyone knew exactly what that was. So I get why Apple used it on the phones. Again, I do agree with Caleb. Because of what it is, it's stupid because MagSafe on the computers meant it's magnetically attached to the computer, but if you were to accidentally walk by and hit the cable, it safely unmagnetizes it. Well, it doesn't unmagnetize, but it comes loose without pulling your laptop off the table. Whereas if you do the same thing with the phone, it pulls the phone off the table. And then, the process of it hitting the ground will probably make the MagSafe charger come off the phone. So it does theoretically work the same way, just after your phone's broken.
Yes. It's like, I suppose from the perspective of it's not going to break the charging port when it falls off the table, it is safe.
Yeah.
But in every other version of safety for the device, it just isn't. And demonstrably, because the standard is literally designed to hold these phones up, right? Like, it's designed to stay really dang attached. So I don't know. I thought it was really dumb when they first announced it. Then they brought it back on the laptops, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess maybe they were kind of thinking that, we're going to turn this into just like a brand-wide thing that devices are going to have. Of course, they didn't start naming the Apple Watch charger MagSafe after that.
It's true, and it is magnetically attached
to the watch. I don't know. I guess, wow. Yeah, no, it's not the greatest name, but I accept the existence of MagSafe as a name for the Qi 2 charging on iPhones because it was called MagSafe before Qi 2 was a standard.
Yeah.
So I accept that. But Pixelsnap, I mean, come on, Google. It's just Qi 2. It's just the standard. You didn't do anything unique or different here. Don't give it its own brand. That's dumb.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if they did have to have their own branding because for reasons, they could have just used Snap, like Snap charging. That explains exactly what it does. Your charger snaps onto the back. That's actually quite brilliant. But Pixelsnap just ruins it.
That sounds like a camera thing, because it's literally called a pixel.
Yeah. Yes.
It's a pixel snap. Yes, a picture. Okay, I get it. We're taking pictures. And also Pokemon Snap, like that's the thing that people my generation are familiar with. It's a video game in which you take pictures of Pokemon. It feels like a camera thing just from the name.
Yeah. Also, it's one word. It's not two separate words. It's one.
What?
Yes.
What? No.
Yep.
I refuse to accept that.
You can refuse all you want. I'm looking at their website. It's one word. It's fun.
Holy crap. Okay, so all of the suggested search results or searches for Pixel Snap have it as two separate words, but it is Pixel Snap. Yep. That's it. I'm calling it Pixel Snap from now on.
That's amazing. Yeah, so when your phone takes a nap, you can charge it. That's great.
There it is. Pixel Snap.
I actually don't hate that either. That's wonderful.
I feel like it's an improvement. I don't know.
So moving on with the Pixel 10 specs, it has 12 gigs of RAM. You can get storage of 120. The base model is 128, or you can go up to 256 gigs of storage. It's got the new Google Tensor G5 chip in it, which we haven't gotten any benchmarks on yet because we've only got hands-on videos of these phones, but I'm not expecting this to be the highest performing chip out there because it won't be, and that's fine. It doesn't need to be. It does what it does well, which is AI, and that's fine. Cameras on this phone. This is the first base model Pixel phone that actually has a triple camera system on the back. And I genuinely am a big fan of that, because that's one reason I like getting the Pro phones, because I like to have the option of being able to zoom in with an actual lens, and then also having a bigger wide angle lens as well, and not just using AI or weird random camera know-how to do that stuff. I like the physical lenses being different. It's great.
Yeah.
So these lenses on the 10, there's a 48 megapixel wide, there's a 13 megapixel ultra wide, and then a 10.8 megapixel 5 times telephoto lens, which can do, as they call it, super res zoom up to 20x. So that's fine. I actually think these are pretty decent cameras. And then on the front, I'm actually not seeing. Oh, no, here it is. 10.5 megapixel selfie camera. So it's fine. It's good enough for what it does. You don't need anything more than that. Video-wise, this can record 4K video at 24, 30, and 60 FPS. And then also can do 1080p video at those same frame rates. I mean, you can pick whichever one you want. That's great. And then the other feature on this phone is the colors, because, pro people don't like colors on their phones, so they have to give them to the people that like the cheaper phones. So the colors on this phone are indigo, which is actually a really cool looking blue color. Frost, which is basically a light grayish, purplish kind of. It's unique, but it's very toned down purple, more gray, anything. Lemongrass, which is kind of a yellowish green color. And then Obsidian, which is basically your dark gray / black colorway. It's fine. This phone, all these phones, you can pre-order now, and this one will be available on August 28th in stores or at carriers, or when it gets shipped to you. So that's actually later this week, I believe. Yeah,
I was going to say that's like Thursday, I think.
Pretty quick. And the starting price on that one is $799. Did not go up at all. That's fine. Still a little overpriced, I think. I mean, most phones are. But
that's true.
It is what it is. Now, with the 10 Pro and 10 Pro XL, these phones are I mean, they're very similar, but there are a few minor differences here. So the obvious difference is the size. So the 10 Pro is a 6.3-inch super actual display, not the actual display, but super, has a cape and everything. And then the 10 Pro XL is a 6.8-inch super actual display. And this one has that 1 to 120 hertz refresh rate. So that's great. Love to see that. And the battery size on this, so the battery on the 10 Pro is actually slightly smaller than the 10. It's a 4870, so it's 100 milliamp hours less for some weird reason. I think maybe because the cameras are a little bit bigger and take a little more space. That's the only thing I can think of. But is what it is. And then on the Pro XL, it's a 5200 milliamp hour battery. Like that. That's great. And like I mentioned, that one has Qi 2.2, so it gets 25 watt wireless charging. And actually, it also has 45 watt wired charging. Whereas the other two phones have 30 watt wired charging. And the only thing I can think of as to why the Pro XL has faster charging, both wired and wireless, is because it's bigger and it can dissipate heat a little bit better than the other two. It's the only thing I can think of. Only thing that makes somewhat sense.
They may also have like 2 battery cells inside of the battery instead of just one to get a slightly larger capacity. But having multiple cells means you can juice both of them at the same time.
Yeah.
So you can do faster charging. So like that's how some of the like Chinese brands get their ridiculously fast charging on their phones, is because they've got the battery divided up into multiple cells. So maybe something like that. They just had more space so they could do that.
Yeah, I could see that, I guess. Memory on this one, they both have 16 gigs of RAM, so that's nice. Better RAM for more AI power and whatnot, which we'll get to in a little bit. The Pro has a 128 gig model. That's the base model. The Pro XL does not have that. They also both have 256. So the Pro XL starts at 256. Then they'll go up to 512 and 1 terabyte options as well. Again, both of them have the Tensor G5 chip. Cameras on these phones, this is where also it changes from the regular 10 phone. So they both have a 50 megapixel main sensor, a 48 megapixel ultra wide sensor, and also a 48 megapixel telephoto lens with it has 5 times, it's a 5x telephoto lens, but then with ProRes zoom, not Super Res zoom, but ProRes zoom up to 100x. And that's fine. It's not actually zooming that much, obviously.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's a lot of digital enhancement to your pixels.
Yeah. And I mean, they kind of cover this a little bit. It's obviously using a little bit of that generative AI to kind of fill in the little gaps. And the pictures that they showed, I mean, again, they're showing the best at what it can do in the keynote. And the pictures they showed were decent. The pictures I've seen in hands-on videos are fine. I think the main reason you want to use something like this is like, oh, what is that thing from that far away? You zoom in. Okay, I kind of get what that is. But you shouldn't be taking a picture at 100x zoom. Just like you shouldn't be taking a picture at 200x zoom on the Samsung phone. So dumb. And then the front cameras on both of these are 42 megapixel cameras. So I guess if you want even better selfie photos,
there you go.
Yep, that's an option now. And the colors on these phones, because again, nobody thinks that Pro phones should have fun colorways. They have Moonstone, which is that a lighter gray, but not light gray. It's a weird color. Jade, which actually is kind of a little bit brighter color. It's a green color, but not as bright as like the lemongrass on the 10. A little more toned down version of that. And then they have Porcelain, which is what you think it is, kind of like that white-ish, kind of cream-colored phone. And then they also have Obsidian, which again is that dark gray / black colorway. Yeah. The 10 Pro starts at $999, and the 10 Pro XL, as they say, didn't go up in price. But like I mentioned earlier, they dropped the 128 gig model. So it went up in price to $11.99 for the base 256 gig. So yes, technically, the 256 gig option did not go up in price, but that's now the base. So the base price of the phone went up $100 to $11.99.
Yeah. You thought you were getting more value for your money? No. They didn't. No. That's not how any of this works. They're going to frame it that way because they're turds, but Apple did it first. So I guess when it comes to being turds about pricing models, that's the one thing that Apple is always first to in the tech world. Everything else, they always come a little bit later with a more refined version, but their price gouging is plenty refined as it is. They don't need to wait for anybody else to set the trends.
Yeah.
And Google is following suit. Oh, good.
Oh, yay. Nope. Okay. And like I mentioned earlier, these phones are also available for pre-order and will be in store on August 28th. So there's the Pixel 10, 10 Pro, and 10 Pro XL. Now let's get to the 10 Pro Fold, because we have to. This one, again, I don't know why they call it a Pro Fold, because the specs do not give you a Pro type of phone, just the price. So the outside display is a 6.4-inch Actua display, not even a Super, not a Pro, Actua. So it's not even as good as the 10.
Huh.
It's a 1080 by 2364 OLED display. It does still have the 60 to 120 hertz refresh rate, so that's similar to the 10. But again, nothing great. 3000 nits peak brightness, again, also not as good as the 10. The inside display is an 8-inch Super Actua Flex display. So there's the Super, I guess. And it does have 1 to 120 hertz refresh rate. So that's nice. The screen that you might be using, I don't know if you're going to use that one the most, but, it's the better display of the two. Maybe that's the reason to use it the most. It's got a 5015 milliamp hour battery, and also has Pixelsnap charging. I don't know why I'm saying that. It's Qi 2. It's not Qi 2.2, even though it's the bigger phone.
Pixelsnap.
Pixelsnap.
It's Pixelsnap.
But yeah, it's just regular Qi 2 with 15 watt wireless charging and also 30 watt USB-C charging. So similar to the 10 and 10 Pro on that. It does have 16 gigs of RAM, so that's a little more on the Pro side. And starts with 256 gigs of storage, goes to 512 and 1 terabyte. So maybe that's right there. That's the only thing that's Pro so far about this phone. Tensor G5 built in. Camera wise, they also have a triple camera system, 48 megapixel main sensor, a 10.5 megapixel ultra wide, and a 10.8 megapixel 5x telephoto lens. So same cameras as the 10, again, not Pro.
Wow.
And then the inside camera is a 10 megapixel camera, and it's not as good as the one on the 10 either. But in all reality, you should not be using that camera for anything.
No.
Besides,
use the rear cameras for everything.
Video chats that you want to have the bigger screen open for. That's the only reason you'd be using this 10 megapixel sensor, because, don't. You can use the regular back nice cameras for selfies because you can open it up and have a display and see what you're doing. It's great.
Yep.
That's one of the best features of a folding phone.
Yep.
That's the Pro Fold. Oh, I forgot. I will say, the best feature on the Pro Fold, other than having the Qi 2 charging, because that's the best feature on all the phones, this one actually is IP68 dust and water resistance built in. The first folding phone to have that, which is great. And they did change the way they're doing the hinge. I can't remember. I can't remember exactly what they were saying, but the hinge itself has less moving parts, which is probably why they were able to get to that IP68 dust and water resistance. I still wouldn't recommend taking this to certain locations like the beach or, even like
Yeah. I mean, to be clear, when they say, it's got a 6 rating for dust ingress, that doesn't include between the screens when you close it, right?
No.
Like that's considered the outside of the phone when it comes to dust ingress.
Yeah.
And they're not counting that. But if you do close it on a grain of sand or something like that, you're gonna shatter it. So don't take this to the beach. That's a terrible idea.
I mean, I am definitely very much looking forward to Jerry Rig Everything's video on this phone, because he's going to see that and be like, oh, really? Let's test that out, shall we?
Yeah. Dunk it in some water, Jerry. We want to see it. His
Yeah.
name's not actually Jerry, to be clear.
That's true.
It took me so many years to recognize that.
It still throws me off a little bit. It's like, no, Zach, not Jerry.
It's Zach. Yep.
Anyways, this phone comes in only 2 colors. You got Moonstone, which is that lighter gray, or Jade, which is the kind of green color.
Oh,
so
at least it's not black, I guess.
Yeah, that is. I mean,
that's the most pro feature of this phone, is the lack of color options.
Well, I mean, at least they are color options, whereas usually it's black or white.
Yeah,
so
true.
Moonstone and Jade are at least colors.
Remember back when the iPhone 4 offered us a white phone alongside our black phone, and everyone was like, ooh, options.
Amazing. Yeah.
Totally ignoring the fact that Razer was shipping phones that were like fluorescent pink and like bright pastel yellow and
red,
all kinds of psychotic stuff at the time.
Yeah, it's great.
Smartphones have always been kind of boring in terms of their appearance.
It's true. This phone starts at $17.99. There's your pro feature.
That's so pro. Such a pro.
It didn't go up
feature.
in price, but it's still really expensive.
Yeah.
And it will be, you can pre-order it now, but you're not getting this phone until October 9th.
Whoa.
So everyone working on the regular Pixel 10 phones got the memo. Hey, we're announcing this in August. We probably should have it available. Whereas the Pro people are like, or the Pro Fold people are like, wait, you switched to August a year ago? What? Thought we were still in October.
That's because the Pro Fold team is still using Hangouts. So
yeah, probably.
They're on the wrong Google Chat system, and so they can't get things straight.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, so that's all the phones. Again, I'm not super disappointed with pretty much any of them, because I mean, the thing with Pixel phones is always in the software. The phones themselves are going to be good enough. The cameras are always going to be excellent. And the video has gotten better over the years, so I can't even diss on the Pixel video at this point because it's also really good. The prices aren't great, but that's just flagship phones nowadays. They're never great. And they have Qi 2 wireless charging built in, which, thank you, Google, for finally doing. That's one of my checklist items, I believe, for my wish list items for the year. So
nice.
Check that off. That's great. Now, going into a little more detail on that, the Pixelsnap, or as Caleb lovingly calls it, the Pixelsnap, and I also love that. It's great. They did announce a few accessories for this phone, and what's funny about it is they also mentioned MagSafe accessories also work with this phone. They actually used the word Max. They didn't say Apple, but they did say MagSafe accessories because, let's be honest, that's what they are.
Nice.
They're MagSafe accessories. Yep. So, I mean, again, it is the Qi 2 standard, which was made by Apple. So it makes sense that MagSafe accessories would also work with this. But they came out with a charging puck, which is basically almost exactly the same as what Apple's charging puck is. Like if you have them both face up like the charging part that attaches to the phone, if you look at them both straight down, you wouldn't notice a difference. The back is slightly different, but only just. Like, it's kind of weird how basically identical these chargers are.
Yeah.
And strangely enough, Apple wins here as well because their charger is $35, where the Pixelsnap one is $40. So that's stupid. When does Apple win pricing when it comes to accessories? Never. I do think that might partially be because this one does support up to 25-watt charging versus Apple's doesn't.
That's true.
At the moment. I would be surprised if their Pro phones this year don't have the 2.2 standard with 25-watt charging, because it wouldn't make sense for them to not do that this year, but it's Apple, they might not. So they may be coming out with an updated charging puck as well. They also came out with a new charging stand, which has the Qi 2 standard built into it. I'm just going to start calling it MagSafe because it's so much better than Pixelsnap. Maybe I'll just call it Snap charging because that's better than both of them in my opinion. It's basically just a stand. It's what it is. It's a charging stand that holds your phone magnetically onto it. So that's fine. One of the more interesting ones that they came out with is called the Pixelsnap Ring Stand. And basically, I mean, this is basically Google's version of a pop socket. Yeah. Or like what I've got on my phone, it's the company's called Snap, and it's like a better version of a pop socket because it's actually really thin and isn't any thicker than what my camera sensors are, which is great.
Yes. Yeah.
But this is kind of like that. But think back, listener, to is it just the Pixel tablet? The dumb tablet they came out with that's basically a Google Home, but in tablet form, that has the little wired thing that comes off that makes it so it stands. It's basically that, but snaps onto the phone. So it's a flat piece of material. I don't even know what material it's made out of, but it snaps onto the back. It's got the G logo in the middle of it. Actually looks pretty good. Then it's got a metal ring on the outside that you can move to different positions to stand your phone up or use it as a way to hold your phone a little bit better. I actually don't hate the look of it. Like I said, it looks pretty good. And from what I understand, the people that have had hands-on experience with this, the little metal ring is pretty sturdy. Like you can basically stand your phone up at almost any angle, and it's not just going to fall back down on itself because of the weight of the phone. So I do like that. I do think it's pretty cool. And then they also came out with some cases that are MagSafe. Oh, Josh. So that are Snap Safe. Wow, gosh, I hate these names. That are Qi 2 compatible cases, so you can have the magnets built into the case as well as so it goes through the case to charge your phone, and other accessories can snap onto the back of those cases as well. And then obviously, like they mentioned, any MagSafe accessory that's already out there will also work with the Pixel phones. So if you are somebody that bought a case that had magnets built into it for your older phone, all the accessories that you have for that will work with this one. So that's great. Love that.
There you go.
And then this is not a magnet type accessory, but they also came out with a 67-watt USB-C fast charger. Not entirely sure why, because the phone, like the Pro XL, does 45-watt charging.
Yeah.
Not 67. But it does have 2 USB-C out ports, so you could charge 2 devices at the same time with this one. So
there you go. So you can do full speed charging of 2 Pixel XLs at the same time.
Yeah. Or, I mean, most likely you're going to have your phone and your earbuds, or your phone and your watch, or something like that charging.
Right,
so
yeah.
Not that you need it, but they have the option if you want.
I mean, no kill like overkill, so
yes,
may as well.
That's true. And all of these accessories will be available like they are pre-ordered now, and will be available on August 28th along with the phones. Now, on to the Pixel Watch 4. This one, I was not expecting a redesign. I was hoping for a redesign because personally, I don't love this watch. I do prefer a round watch. I've said it many, many times. Just not this round watch. It's like rounded in the wrong ways. And I actually had this thought.
Rounded in all the ways.
It's
bulbous.
Yes, that's a good word, bulbous. It is a bulbous watch. But like I actually had this thought throughout this week while I was thinking about this event. The Pixel, like Google's design language when it comes to physical hardware is just really bad aside from the phones. I do love the look of the phones, but everything else is not good to bad, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's like, they got their own version of Johnny Ive somewhere at Google there, but instead of being obsessed with minimalist design aesthetics and like highlighting hardware differences with translucent plastics or something like that, they're obsessed with surface tension of water droplets. So a lot of Pixel devices just sort of look like a water droplet sitting on a piece of glass or something like that. That's what the Google Home always reminded me of, like the Google Home Mini, little one. It just looks like a little bulb.
I mean, I actually don't hate the Google Home Mini design. It's fine. The Google Home Max, which I do have one of, that's always been a weird looking device to me.
Yeah.
And I mean, going back to your, like you said, the kind of the water droplet look, they actually made this watch more of that because, like I said, it does have a rounded, like the glass is actually shaped round off to the edges, but now the display is also rounded to match that surface. And the way I've heard it described by people that have had the hands-on with is it looks like when you have a glass of water that is full to the top and it's like the water's kind of just not falling out, but that's what the display looks like.
There you go. Surface tension of water droplets. I called it. I'm telling you.
That's exactly
They've got a designer there who literally just looks at pictures of dewdrops all day, and that's their entire mood board.
Yeah. I mean, because of that, they do have a larger display inside of it because if it's rounder, it can stretch farther to the sides, I suppose. But, I mean, I would have to actually look at one in person to really get an opinion on it, but I don't think I'm going to like it any more than what the regular Pixel already is, which, again, isn't my favorite. So, that's it. It's interesting. That's really the only main change to the Pixel Watch, other than the charging now it's connected via like the little pins on the side. Like they moved it from being wirelessly charging on the bottom to wirelessly charging on the side. It's got little pogo pin type things on the side that go to the dock. And I do like they're doing kind of similar to what Apple does. If you charge your Apple Watch on the side of it, like if you set it up angled upwards and stuff, it can have a little watch display show there at night in a dark color or whatnot to have as like a desktop clock type thing.
Yeah.
And this new Pixel Watch also does that. I don't hate that. I actually kind of like that. But the little,
that is nice.
The little charging dock that you put it in, again, back to that ugly display or design language. Yeah, it looks like I don't know really how to describe it. It's weird. I don't love it. But again, that's just personal preference. And it's just a charger. It's really not that big of a deal. I think they put way too much thought into the design of the charger based on how it looks. But that's fine. They are claiming longer battery life on both the 41 millimeter and 45 millimeter. They're saying the regular one has they both have 25% more or longer battery life. They're claiming 30 hours of battery on the 41 millimeter watch and 40 hours on the 45 millimeter watch, which is impressive on both accounts. Like that will give you easily more than a day's worth of battery on both watches. And that's even if you're wearing them to sleep and not charging them overnight or not turning them off and let because I used to do this in the past where I would I charge my watch one day and then I would, when I get done with the day, I would turn it off and go overnight. And then I could usually get 2 work days of battery out of my watch. Now I don't do that. I just charge it every night or while I'm sleeping because it is what it is. I wear it a lot more often, so it's getting used a lot more than it did before.
Mm-hmm.
They also charge faster, so you can get 0 to 50% in just 15 minutes of charging. So if you do wear it overnight while you're sleeping to get some of that sleep tracking stuff in, you just take it off while you're getting ready for the day. Say you're in the shower, throw it on your charger for 15, 20 minutes. You're going to be good for definitely the rest of that day and into the next, into the next night and stuff. So
dang,
I like that. That's really good.
Yeah, that is.
The watch starts at, $350 for the 41 millimeter and $400 for the 45 millimeter, which is the same prices that they were before. So again, that's fine. And actually are cheaper than what the Apple Watch, because the Apple Watch starts at $400 and then goes up to $450. Unless you get the SE, which is $300. Is it $299 for the SE?
Oh, I think it's like
might even be $250.
$320 something, isn't it?
Something.
Oh no, I'm thinking of the iPad.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's around there.
Yeah, I mean they're very similar in price. They did add a few new features to the watch. The one that actually is most interesting to me is you can have real-time bike stats on your phone. And this is something I use every time I go on a bike ride with my watch. I have a little phone holder on my handlebars of my bike, and I will have all the stats that are coming from my watch on the screen of my phone so I can keep track of that while I'm riding. And now you can do that on the Pixel Watch with a Pixel phone as well. So I love that. That is a great feature. They also have a new dual frequency GPS for better GPS tracking, which again, very similar to what the Apple Watch, I think the regular Apple Watch, I know the Ultra does. Does the regular Apple Watch have a dual GPS system?
I can't remember, honestly. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure.
But, I mean, a lot of these new features are just bringing it very, very, very close to what Apple is doing with the Apple Watch and what Samsung is doing with their watches as well. They also have, this is a feature that I honestly thought was there, but apparently wasn't, that if you start a workout, like if you are doing something and it notices you're working out, it'll be like, hey, are you doing this? And then start the workout based on when it thinks you started, which is usually a few minutes before it alerts you. And Apple has been doing that for a long time. And like I said, I thought they were doing that on the Pixel Watch, but now it is available on the Pixel Watch 4, so that's good. They also have the ability to, like, if you're not actually working, I mean, obviously, if you're not working out, you can tell it, no, I'm not working out. Don't record that. But they built in a new personal AI health coach, which very similar to what Apple announced at I/O this year, or at WWDC with watchOS. So if you want a personal health coach on your wrist and inside the Fitbit app, there you go. It's going to be there. So, yay. Yeah. These watches, like I said, you can pre-order them now. These are also going to be similar to the Pro Fold, where they will not be available until October 9th, unfortunately. So, yeah.
There you go. That Hangouts chat strikes again.
Yes, it does. All right, the next bit of hardware that they announced is the Pixel Buds 2A. So this is an updated to the Pixel Buds A series that has actually been relatively a good headphone, I believe. Similar to what just the base model AirPods are from Apple. That's what the A series for Pixel Buds are. And like Apple, they added active noise cancellation to these earbuds.
There you go.
That's the main thing, is they added active noise cancellation to these. They also changed the shape a little bit they actually are very similar to what the Pixel Buds Pro 2 shape is. And they made it like it comes with 4 different ear tips so you can make it fit inside a little better. And then also the way they designed it is you kind of just put it in and then rotate it a little bit to where it is the most snug. And it's kind of nice. They also added some new AI-ish features because obviously it's Google. They have to do that. It's got the Tensor A1 chip, which is made for these earbuds specifically. And that's what gives it some of that active noise cancellation, but it also gives it more AI stuff. And one of the things that is very similar to what Apple does with their AirPods is if you're wearing these and it asks you if you're doing a workout. So like say you didn't start doing a workout or on your watch or something, it'd be like, hey, are you doing this? You can just shake your head no or yes. You don't have to say anything. You don't have to touch your phone. And it will do that. Same thing when it comes to if somebody's calling you or if you get a text message, you can respond that way. It'll be like, hey, do you want to answer this call? You just shake your head no or nod yes, and it will, respond accordingly. And that's actually something I use with my AirPods on a very regular basis. And it's really handy. It's like if somebody's calling, I don't know the number or I am in a place I can't talk, I just shake. I don't even have to say anything. Literally just shake my head. And it works, and it works really well. So I'm looking forward to that coming to the Pixel Buds on the cheaper side as well, because these ones are only $129, and you can pre-order them today. And again, also unfortunately not available until October 9th. Along with that, they gave some new features to the Pixel Buds Pro 2. They didn't come out with new Buds Pro. They just are announcing new features for the ones that are already available. They actually did come out with a new color. You can now get them in Moonstone, so that lighter gray. If you want some to match your phone, there you go, I guess. That's the biggest thing is they just came out with new colors. They are saying they're going to have, again, these are kind of just coming up to par with Apple when it comes to AirPods. It's the same thing with the watch, with the AirPods and AirPods Pro. It's all just trying to meet Apple where they're at. It has adaptive audio, so if you're in a louder environment, it will try to lessen the sound and amp up your music a little more. And then loud noise protection, so if all of a sudden there's a loud noise, it'll kind of help bring that down as well. So just a lot of similar things. And then again, the shaking your head to answer a call or not. Really nice stuff. So that's the Pixel Buds Pro 2. I'm not entirely sure when this update is coming. I would imagine probably when the new version of Android comes out, it will also be released at the same time as that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it probably depends on whether or not they're on the same Google Meet chat as the Android team or the Hangouts chat.
I mean, I guarantee they're not.
That's true.
They're not even in the same building.
Using? They're still using the internal build of Google Circles to
in Google Plus.
In Google Plus, that's what it was called.
Yeah,
can't even remember.
Hey, I really liked Google Plus. It was great. Just nobody used it, which made it worse.
Yep.
Anyways, that's all the hardware that was announced. Now on to the software, AI stuff, because that's really what Google cares about is AI. And I actually, when it comes to AI stuff that Google does on the phones, I actually really like it. This is actually what makes me kind of want to switch back to a Pixel phone. I'm not going to lie. When I was watching this stuff, I'm like, that's how I want AI to work for me. And I would get it with the Pixel. Whereas with an iPhone, I'd have to wait 5 years in order to get that. Probably. And
no, at least I would say probably more like 10.
I mean, Apple's going to say, oh, it's going to be there this year. I promise. It's not going to be there this year. The main thing, like one of the biggest things they talked about was this thing called Magic Queue, and it's not the letter Q, it's CUE, so it's queuing. It lives up to its name, basically. It queues things up for you at the time you need it. I kind of described it as like AI meets Google Now. Like, listener, if you remember what Google Now was back in the day, it was great. It was like if like on your phone where the Discover feed is nowadays, it used to be Google Now, where it would give you information that you kind of needed. Like if you had an event coming up on your calendar, it would put it in your Google Now feed about an hour beforehand, let you know, hey, there's something coming up right here, or different things like that. But this is kind of like AI meets that. So the couple ways that they showed it off in the keynote were like, say, if a friend texts you asking about a dinner reservation that you have, it will automatically, like, it won't reply automatically, but it'll give you a little pop-up saying, hey, this is the info that you want, that they're asking for, because you either talked about it in a different text message or in that text message earlier, or it's in your Gmail, because that's usually where your reservations are going to be saved, is in an email or something like that. It can bring that information and then you can just click on it and it'll send that information to the person you're talking to. Really handy. You can also long press on the little thing to verify the source of where it's pulling from, because you want to make sure that it actually is accurate, because again, this is AI. It's not always 100% accurate. So you can look at that and make sure it is, and then you can send it on. Really nice. The other way, or the other demo that they showed with this one is, this is something it's not something that I would probably ever use, because I don't fly very often anywhere. But for those that do, the way that they showed it was, if you're on a call with an airline, say your flight, something's going on with your flight or whatnot, instead of having to be on speakerphone and pull up the email and try and find all the information, it will just automatically show you the information that you need for all your flight info on the screen during the call. And that's really, like, I have been in these type of situations before, and just having it right there in the phone call, it would be really, really nice. Again, in the scenario of being flight information, not going to happen to me probably ever. But for those that need it, those that do like business flights on a regular basis or things like that, that have, if you fly often enough, you're going to have issues with your flight in some way or another. And you're going to have to call your airline for who knows why. And so having that information just automatically pop up when you need it, that's fantastic. Love that. See, this is the type of stuff that I want AI to do for me. That's one thing I really like about Google when it comes to this stuff, is they generally show you really real life scenarios of how you might actually use AI, and they're putting that into their products. Love it. And from what they said, the Magic Q stuff is all done on device. So it's faster, more private. Like, as long as you have this information in your Google account and on your phone, it can access that. And it's all done, like I said, on device. So doesn't have to go up into the cloud, doesn't have to use any server information or anything like that. Keeps your stuff a little more private. Love that. The next AI thing that they talked about that I thought was actually really, really cool is conversational editing inside of Google Photos. And from what I understand, I don't know if they mentioned it, but I've seen elsewhere that this is going to be something that just comes to Google Photos in general, not just for Pixel devices, but like iOS, other Android phones, Google Photos will be getting this. And the way it works is, like, you can already go into Google Photos, and there's a wide variety of ways to edit a photo inside of Google Photos. It's pretty good, and I use it every once in a while. But my problem is, like, I know what I'm doing when it comes to going into Photoshop or something like that and editing photos, because I've had a lot of practice with that. But when it comes to doing stuff on the phone, it's usually a little more, not difficult, but it's just not as user-friendly, in my opinion. Not that Photoshop is user-friendly, but for someone that knows what they're doing, it is a lot easier to do. The way this works is you just pop up a little text box, and you can either write it out or voice, like, talk it out. Say, hey, can you brighten up this photo and take out this part of the photo, or, things like that. And it will just use AI magic and do it for you. And the even, like, obviously the demo that they showed at the keynote is going to work really well, but I've seen hands-on videos of this specific feature, and it worked really well. I was very impressed. Like, it kind of like one of the ones that I saw was like brighten this photo and take out this person in the background. Basically, like using Magic Eraser and then other editing features all inside AI, and all you have to do is just tell it to do it, and it worked exactly how the person wanted it to. Now, and this also works like you can say like somebody said, add a hot air balloon, and it added a hot air balloon, which again, you can do that inside of Google Photos yourself, but this just does it with you telling it to. It still doesn't mess with faces or things like that because they don't want to really mess with your photos that much, at least when it comes to people. But I thought it was really cool, and I thought it's something that, like, you don't have to be the person anymore that someone calls you, hey, how do I edit this photo to make it brighten up? I took it in a really dark space and my phone sucks. How do I fix this? Just say, hey, tell your phone to do it for you, basically. Push this button inside of Photos and then tell it what you told me.
Well, there you go.
So I'm actually very much looking forward to trying this out when it comes to Google Photos. Like I said, I do believe it will be coming to Google Photos in general. So anybody that uses Google Photos will be able to use this, and I think it'll be really cool. Along with that, they also mentioned that they can implement what's called auto best take. So if you don't know what best take is, listener, inside of Google Photos, if you take like a burst amount of photos of a group of people, it's always hard to find one that everyone is looking at the camera proper, like eyes open and things like that, paying attention. Best take you can say, hey, can you try and find out of these photos one where you can either try and find one where everyone's looking at it, or it can bring faces together into one photo to make it so everyone looks like they're looking at the camera at the same time. This can auto do that. Just after you take these photos, it will just produce one that has the best take out of all the photos that are there. So that's kind of cool. I think that's something you have to turn on, but having the ability to do that, I think is pretty cool. And then along with all this AI photo stuff and just generative AI in general, when it comes to stuff on the phone, the Pixel 10 phones apparently are the first to implement the C2PA content credentials, which C2PA stands for Coalition for Content Provenance and Authenticity. And this is an industry standard for labeling content that has been created or modified using generative AI. So this basically puts it into the, what's the word?
The metadata.
The metadata of the photo or whatever it is you're working on, telling people outside, hey, this was at least partially done using generative AI. And that's just, all these phones will do that right out the gate. Love that. That's great. So then you can't as easily put up fake photos that people can't just look at the meta. I mean, you do still have to look at the metadata, but there are a lot more websites and social media places that are flagging things that will have this thing put in there. So that's nice. I do really like that.
Yeah.
The next thing that I thought was really cool was this update to voice translate. And they actually did a demo of this, and it worked really well. You can have translation in real time on a phone call, and the person on the other end doesn't have to have a Pixel 10. You just one person has to have a Pixel 10. You do have to download the language that you want to use it in. But the way that they used it is somebody called someone else in a different part of the building they were in, and they were speaking Spanish, and the other person was speaking English, and it translated in their own voice. It used AI to kind of mimic your voice, your intonations, but in the other language. So, like, the main person would talk in English, and then the person on the other end would hear it kind of in the other person's voice, but in Spanish, and then vice versa. And it worked. Like, it was about a 1 to 2 second delay is all. It was almost like just seamless with how quickly it worked. And from what I understand, I don't speak Spanish, but from what I understand, it was pretty accurate as well. So that's actually a feature that I really, really, really think is really cool. Not that, again, I'm not in the situation where I'm going to be calling someone that's speaking Spanish on any sort of regular basis or any other language, but I like that the option is there. It's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right, a new AI feature that they added to the Recorder app, which is basically like the voice notes app from Apple, but just Google's version called Recorder. It's actually a really robust audio recording app. I've used it in the past. It's really nice. They made a new feature that basically says, "Hey, we can do AI generative music as well," because that's what it is. Like the way that they said is you can sing or hum ideas into the Recorder app, and it can now generate music ideas based off of what you give it. Or you can put in lyrics and tell it a music style that you want, and it'll put music to those lyrics or different things like that. Kind of a cool little thing. And they just kind of said it really quickly. It's like, that's actually probably should have got a little more airtime than what it did, in my opinion, because I've used AI music generators in the past, and they're fun. I mean, you can definitely tell that it's AI generated based on the voices, because they all sound the same. There's like 2 or 3 different voices that most of them use, and again, they all sound the same, but they're not bad, and they're, like I said, they're fun to mess around with. If you want a good example of it, listener, go back to whatever episode we did that was completely AI generated. Was it episode 300? I think it was. But that episode of ours was, the whole thing was AI generated, and I did make some music for the intro and stuff based or using generative AI. So
Yep.
that'll give you an example of what it sounds like. The next thing I wanted to mention is they are adding a Pixel Journal app to the phone, which, listener, if you remember from iOS, they have a journal app on the iPhone. This is that, but Google's version of it. And that's really all I need to talk about because, they also, the other thing that I want to mention when it comes to AI stuff is they're adding what's called the Daily Hub. So if you scroll all the way to the left on your home screen, there's the Discover page. And right there at the top, they're going to have what's called the Daily Hub. And basically it gives you a rundown of what's coming up, like what your upcoming day is like, including different weather, events from your calendar, things from Gmail, just little things like that. I think it's just for some people, I think it could be really useful, especially if you're forgetful or if you're like, wait, what do I have going on today? It's just a quick, easy rundown of what's there, what's supposed to be happening today, as long as you actually use your Google Calendar or, things like that. You don't just handwrite things, which I do know people that have a physical calendar that they write everything down in and don't put it in their phone. I'm not that person. I have to have it on my phone or I forget. So I think this is actually kind of a cool feature as well. And I would say that's the end of the event, but they had their own one more thing. And listeners, so before we were recording, I was finishing typing up my notes, and Caleb overheard as I was typing this. All I was just muttering to myself, it's so stupid, so dumb. Why, so stupid. That's literally all I could say while I was typing this thing up. So I'm just going to read you what was said. And if you didn't already know this as well, Jimmy Fallon was the host of this event because they needed a host and they needed a celebrity host. I don't know.
Okay.
We'll get to that in a little more detail in a few minutes. But there's one more thing. So Jimmy, it's near the end, he says, "It's just a shame there isn't one final big buzzy announcement for all these guys to post about." And then Rick Osterloh, who's the head of Google hardware and stuff, he's like, "Well, hold on a second. I think we might just have the thing." And that's his way of saying one more thing.
Mm-hmm.
Really? And it was so cringy. You could tell it was scripted. And Jimmy Fallon is an actor. He does act. But this was really poor acting by both of them. If you got Tim Cook on there, it wouldn't have been any better. Or it wouldn't have been any worse, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
That's how bad of this little moment was. And their little one more thing moment was announcing that Steph Curry, listener, if you don't know who Steph Curry is, he's a NBA basketball player, really good basketball player, mind you. Like, he's won multiple championships. He's been the MVP a couple times. He's really good point guard for the Golden State Warriors. And they named him as, their performance advisor. I didn't know, and this wasn't a thing beforehand. When they just said that, I'm like, what are they talking about? So on Google's website, the little blog talking about this announcement, I'm just going to read what they wrote. So Stephen Curry is officially joining Google as our new performance advisor as part of a long-term partnership. So this isn't just some celebrity endorsement. This is a long-term partnership spanning Google Health, Google Pixel, and Google Cloud. As someone who uses technology to maximize every aspect of his own performance and health, Stefan will bring his unique perspective as a world-class athlete to help us fine-tune our products, train our algorithms, and even design future hardware and features. Now, listener, you might be as confused as I am when I read that, because I understand bringing on a professional athlete when it comes to things in, like with the Pixel Watch and health type things, because he also is going to be helping alongside with that new personal health coach that's on the Apple Watch. He's going to be helping with things like that. But when they say fine tune our products, train our algorithms, and even design future hardware and features, that's where I get a little more confused.
What the heck kind of job description is that? That's all like, hey, he's the manager of like vision or something like that. This is because, yeah, like, okay, he's a professional athlete. I can see bringing him in to provide feedback and ideas to their exercise team.
Yeah.
Alongside a bunch of other professional athletes so that you actually get like a broad range of perspectives.
Yep.
But he's like, here's what I think. I'm confident in this one. Somebody at Google is a huge fan of Steph Curry, and they just wanted to give him a paycheck.
I could see that.
I think that's what it is. 100%.
Yeah. And like this article does also mention he has been using Google's AI stuff in like this past year. He has a basketball camp that he brings in like a very limited amount of student athletes for, like, I think they're high school student athletes to train with him and different things like that for a week or something like that. And he used what they're calling their AI basketball coach experience, which basically utilizes like either the phone camera or different cameras, and it can use AI to help you like train, like just tweak how you're playing and different things like that. So again, I think that aspect of it could be kind of cool. But when it comes to just health and stuff in general, he's going to have some experience or some help in that stuff, because he is a professional athlete. He does have to maintain certain things when it comes to health standards and whatnot. But I would like to see either more partnerships or bring in other people when it comes to other sports. Because like Caleb mentioned, he is a professional basketball player. I think their basketball type stuff might get better over time. But when it comes to other things, and then also product design and AI algorithms and what? Why do you need Stephen Curry for that? I mean, seriously. The only hope I do have when it comes to like design future hardware, maybe he tells them, hey, this Pixel Watch is not great when I'm wearing it on the basketball or playing basketball. Can we get a different shape? Or have it look a little better? Maybe. I don't know. I don't think that's going to happen, but maybe there's a chance. So that was their one more thing, was announcing Stephen Curry is a Google employee.
Weird.
Yeah.
That's baffling.
It really is.
I feel like that would have been like on par with them announcing, "Oh yeah, we've got one more thing. We bought a sports stadium."
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks. What?
Yeah. Maybe that's down the road. They're gonna be like, we have the stadium naming rights for the place that the Golden State Warriors play in. I don't know.
There you go. That's it. Google Stadium. Actually, no, sorry, Pixel Stadium.
Oh, yes.
Snap Stadium. That's what it'll be.
Pixelsnap Stadium. Yeah. And that was everything that was announced at the Made by Google event. Now to the event itself, listener. The way I put this is it was basically a 1 hour, 16-minute infomercial hosted by Jimmy Fallon and other celebrities that I didn't recognize. Like, they had probably about 10 or so different quote-unquote celebrities at this thing. I knew Jimmy Fallon and the Jonas Brothers. Other than that, I didn't recognize a single person at this event. I mean, Stephen Curry was talked about, but he wasn't at the event, so I can't say he was there. But it was like you combine a 90s infomercial, 90s, early 2000s infomercial with the idea of a talk show because it's Jimmy Fallon, because they literally at one point did sit down on a couch and have an interview about some of the devices. I'm like, what is going on? And yeah, the only thing that was missing from the infomercial style is, but wait, there's more, because they didn't say that. It would have been fantastic. Like Jimmy could have gotten away with saying, but wait, there's more. But no, that wasn't there.
I feel like there's probably not a better indication of how little these companies need more money from us than the fact that they're hiring celebrity appearances to introduce portions of their new product stack. This is wild. This stuff back in the day, listener, before Steve Jobs, it's kind of all Steve Jobs' fault. Vast majority of this stuff was just press releases.
Yeah.
And it...
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, and It's funny. I'm genuinely curious to know what is in the contract that Jimmy Fallon signed that says how long he has to use a Pixel phone for. Because if you weren't aware, it's not hard to figure out what phone celebrities usually use, and it's usually an iPhone. And when it comes to Jimmy Fallon, I know it's an iPhone because he's had it on his show. There's pictures of him with an iPhone. You know, like he's used an iPhone for a long time. So I'm genuinely curious to know how long does he have to use a Pixel phone in order, like what was in his contract? Because I guarantee it wasn't just, hey, come to this event, put on a Pixel Watch, and pretend you use a Pixel phone for an hour. I can almost guarantee they're like, it's got to be at least 6 months. Because you can't have the host of your event 2 months later post something that says posted from iPhone, because you know that's going to happen.
Well, who did that happen to? I'm trying to remember.
I don't remember. I don't remember who the
somebody. Oh no, it was. Oh gosh. Wonder Woman. Come on. You don't watch DC superhero movies. Why am I? Anyways, I
remember the thing you're talking
Gal
about.
Gadot. That's
yes,
it. Gal Gadot.
But yeah, she partnered with Samsung.
Yeah.
And
then her
tweet,
social media manager tweeted on her behalf from an iPhone, and it was the funniest thing ever.
Yeah, it was like posting a tweet about the Samsung phone from iPhone. Yeah.
From an iPhone. Hilarious. I love it. To which my response is, well, you've got to take a picture of the Samsung phone with something. You know, you can't use the phone to take a picture of it. No, it was funny. It was good times.
But yeah, it was such a weird event. And I mentioned this before as well, but is this going to be the worst? I mean, we are going to put it on the list of our awards for the year of worst keynote of the year. But I think I'm calling it now. I'm pretty sure this one's going to win as worst keynote of the year because it was
Apple
just that bad.
and Samsung haven't done anything egregious yet, so I guess we still got a couple months. Apple could definitely ruin everything in a few weeks here.
I mean, unless they have their own infomercial style keynote, which they again could.
Totally could.
I just don't see it happening.
Honestly, the entire thing could be they could go back to hosting it live on stage with Tim Cook doing the entire thing. That's the thing they could do.
That
would be worse.
That would be worse. Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh, the way they ended this keynote, like the actual ending of it was in somewhere. I don't remember exactly where in the show they talked about this, but they did have like I said, the Jonas Brothers were there, and they had the Jonas Brothers record their latest music video entirely on a Pixel 10 Pro. And then at the very end of the thing, they did the world premiere of the video at the end of the keynote. And to be fair, like the video itself, I'm not a huge Jonas Brothers fan musically. It was fine. Music was fine. You know, it is what it is. The video itself was pretty good. I mean, it's what you would expect from a video entirely filmed on a phone, similar to what Apple has done in the past. It was good. I mean, they also have gimbals and different things like that. They're not just holding the phone and, videoing most of it. They did do some of that because they did show a little behind the scenes of how they filmed it. And some of it was just them holding the phone, but most of it was like still professionally done with, things like that to make it really, really good. But it was all filmed on a Pixel. So I'll give them that. But yeah, that was made by Google this year. Don't watch the event unless you really like watching a car wreck.
Well, there you go.
And watch it like
all right.
I watched it at 1.5 speed because I didn't know how bad it was. But if I'm like these type of events, if I don't watch it live, I'm really glad I didn't watch it live. But if I'm not watching it live, I'll usually speed it up just so I can get the information a little quicker. And I kind of wish I would have watched it at 2x because it was that cringy and annoying and bad.
Fun.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on. We got just a couple of other items of news that we'll get through real quick for you, listener. First off, under general tech, you may have recalled, if you've listened to a few previous episodes of the podcast, that I have, on many occasions over the past several years, in fact, talked about the power connector that NVIDIA has been forcing us to use on their GPUs. It's called the 12V 2x6 connector. It is technically a part of the ATX standard now. However, anybody with a brain doesn't want it to be. And that's because it keeps catching on fire and or melting and destroying $1,000 to $2,000 GPUs in the process. This has been a significant issue for NVIDIA's higher-end cards and even some of their mid-range cards over the past couple of years, ever since the 30 series kind of started the whole thing, even though that wasn't technically a 12V 2x6 connector. It was the predecessor to that. Anyways, point is, AMD's been using classic 8-pin power connectors this whole time. They did say with this past generation, when somebody asked them, are you going to start using the 12V 2x6 connector? What they said was, we're not going to put as a part of our reference design any power connector standard. Our partners are welcome in their manufacturing to use whatever they want. And the vast majority of them, because NVIDIA demands everybody uses the 12V 2x6 connector, whereas AMD was basically just saying, no, our board partners can do whatever they want. And all of their board partners use 8-pin power connectors when given the option because they're not idiots. However, a couple of them decided to play with actual fire and put 12V 2x6 connectors on a couple of AMD cards. Now, here's the thing. Even AMD's most powerful GPUs aren't drawing anywhere near the wattage that a 4090 does or something like that. And so generally speaking, you would think, okay, this is a very low powered card. This cable supposedly is capable of 600 watts, and these GPUs max out at 300. So even if the connector is absolutely flawed in its design, probably not going to be an issue with something like a 7080 or whatever. Turns out actually is. One of them melted this past week.
Oof.
vindication, the 12V2x6 connector is in fact cursed in all of its forms.
Ouch.
So there you go. Good times. If you have one in your computer, listener, think better. Don't do that to yourself. Like, just you don't deserve that. You know, I think that's the takeaway. All right. So yes, there's that. There's your PSA for the day. Next, under general tech, we have the HMD Fuse.
Yes, listener, we mentioned HMD earlier because they were the first company to bring an Android phone with Qi 2 charging into the phone. Now, this phone, I'm going to start by asking this question to Caleb because we talked about this last week on the episode about how the UK is trying to, protect children, supposedly. And my question is this the phone? Should the UK government just issue this to every child? Because this phone is geared towards keeping children safe online. And the way it works is it has this thing called Harm Block AI. And how it works is it is a AI-powered content blocker that is basically made to block any nudity from apps or websites, delete images and videos containing nudity from the phone, and supposedly stop the camera from capturing nude images or video or streaming. If it works, it's pretty interesting. If it doesn't, then obviously it's just whatever. But
here's what I will say. If it does all of this on device without sending anything into the cloud at all, and crucially, if it's possible to do this while maintaining the same privacy protections that already exist, for users of a device, then yes, I feel like that's like the perfect solution to actually protecting kids from harmful content online. Now, to be clear, this is only like related to sexually explicit content and stuff like that, but that's kind of a big deal,
right?
And I again, like you said, if it works, that's great. I don't know if I trust it, but
right. Yeah, I mean, that's exactly right. Like, it also is, like I said, is geared for kids, but it's not like your typical kids phone. Like, there's Gab Wireless that sells phones that are geared towards kids that are very parent-oriented when it comes to what can and can't be done on this. This has a lot of those same features. Like, there's a companion app that parents can download that pre-approves different contacts or phone numbers, has location tracking with what they call safe zones so when a kid leaves that area, it'll alert the parent. A lot of similar features as to what are on those other phones. But the nice thing about this phone is it can, as HMD says, the phone that grows with your kids. So as they get older and as you want them to have a little more freedom on their phone, you can allow that to happen. Like, this doesn't come pre-installed with any app store. It doesn't come pre-installed with the Play Store, but you can add that to it if you want to. And just things like that. Like, you can give more access to the camera because, like, you can block certain things, not just nudity, but just block how they use the camera in certain ways and who they can call, who they can contact in text form or anything like that. And so, like, as they get older, it's one of those that you can give them more access and basically turn it into a fully fledged Android phone if you want to.
Mm-hmm.
So that I kind of like that idea, but at the same time, that can lead to, if you have a pretty smart kid, they might be able to figure out how to bypass some of that stuff.
Nah.
It might be harder on a device like this, but it does have that potentiality there.
Yeah.
So,
I don't hate the concept, but I mean, you kind of hit the nail on the head there. Exceptionally smart kids are going to find ways around anything you put up. And there really is no substitute for just being aware as a parent of what's going on and paying attention and communicating with your kids. And the government is never going to be able to do that. And therefore, anything coming from the government is never going to be a good solution for this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to look at this phone as a tool that you can use as a parent in this, in the toolbox, sure, that makes sense. Like, I can totally see that. I don't know that I'm not hearing this and thinking to myself, yeah, actually, that's something I really want to check out, because I feel like the parental controls that I have in place already give me the toolboxes that I need.
Right.
So, but if you're hearing this and thinking, yeah, that sounds like a nice tool I'd like to have in my toolbox as a parent, then cool. That's great.
Yeah.
But to answer the question as it was asked, no, the UK government shouldn't be doing anything with relation to this at all.
Yeah.
Because that's parents' jobs.
Yeah, and they would also find a way to ruin it.
That's true. They would.
And I also bring it up for the UK because it is currently only available through the UK right now, or in the UK, not through the UK, but in the UK.
Yeah.
It is a very mid-range phone. Like, it's nothing like, it's got a 90 hertz display, a Qualcomm Snapdragon 4 Gen 2, 6 gigs of RAM. Like, it's nothing fancy. It is not the cheapest phone. Like, it's 498 euros. So for the price and specs, it's not the best, but it's
that's
fine.
Not that great.
I mean, the reason you buy this phone again is because you want your kid to have something, and I think this isn't a bad option when it comes to what you can do as a parent. But again, like Caleb said, I think even if you do get this, you still want to talk with your kids about how to properly use the phone and properly use the internet, because you can't just rely on other things to do that for you, because they're going to find it's not going to go. It never goes well in that situation. If you're not doing your job as a parent, the devices aren't going to help. It's just going to make it worse.
There is, speaking as the host of a tech podcast, there is no technological solution for just being involved in your kids' lives.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how parenting works.
Yeah. So like I said, I do think it's an interesting product. I don't hate the idea behind it, but it's still, like Caleb said, it doesn't replace being a parent, and that's going to be the best option for protecting your kids from things on the internet.
Yep. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and move on. Listen, we're not talking about Gamescom this week, but I do have one piece of gaming news that I'm just going to kind of sprinkle out there for all of you that need a little fix for your week. PlayStation is raising the price of the PS5. This isn't good news. I didn't say that it was good gaming news, just gaming news. Yeah, they're all going up by about $50. So
that sucks.
Yeah, it's wonderful that we are now like 5 years into this console generation, and not only have the prices of the consoles not gone down the way that they have in every single previous console generation, they're in fact going up. All of them. Microsoft raised the prices of the Xboxes last year. PlayStation is raising the PlayStation prices now. The Switch just went up in price, even though it's already part of the last console generation, because the Switch 2 just got released. I hate this. I hate it so much. And listener, you're totally valid to also feel little tendrils of rage inside when you hear stuff like that. Sony is blaming tariffs. I'm sure that has an effect. That being said, they're a multi-billion-dollar corporation. They could have absorbed the cost and not passed it on to you as the consumer.
Yeah, and at this point in the product cycle, we're so far into it, it's costing them nowhere near as much as it cost them to make it at the beginning, because they've been making it for so long.
It's been optimized to heck.
It costs them almost, I can't say nothing, but it's pretty dang close to nothing, basically, to make this. They do not need to raise prices whatsoever.
Yeah, they absolutely did not need to pass that on to you as the consumer, but no corporation in the history of corporations has ever responded to tariffs by not passing them on to the consumer.
Yeah.
So we all saw this coming. Doesn't mean that I'm only angry at the U.S. federal government, though. I'm also plenty angry at Sony as well.
Yeah.
There's plenty of anger to go around. Late stage capitalism, it's good stuff. But I'm going to finish this on a positive note, because now it is time, finally, it's been a flippin' while, to talk about the best people on the internet. Doom modders always brighten my day.
It's true.
So this time around, like, it's always some kind of weird, either a weird mod for Doom or a weird piece of hardware that is now modded to run Doom. Today, listener, if you've ever looked at a really expensive battery bank or charger that has a screen on it that does all kinds of fun stuff, and thought to yourself, that seems bizarre and unnecessary, I would have agreed with you up until now. However, this past week, a guy got his Anker Prime charger with a screen on it playing Doom. Okay? So it's a charge. Normally this screen will do stuff like display battery percentage and charging rates for the devices that are plugged into the thing. That's all useful information to have. But how about Doom instead? There is actually a little dial on the side of this thing. It's like a $170 desktop charger that is designed to just be like you set this thing on your desk, you plug your laptop, your phone, your headphones, your whatever into it. It charges all of it. And I'm not sure what the little dial on it is used for. So there's a lot more interface here than there usually is on something like this.
Yeah.
But the dial is actually what is used to play the game. The guy who did it did no hardware modding whatsoever. He's basically just written custom firmware for the thing, and it's all running on device, right? It's not even like the pregnancy test where this was a display plugged into something else that was playing it. No, it's all running on the charger. So this charger has a 150 megahertz ARM Cortex M33 processor in it with 8 megabytes of RAM and 16 megabytes of onboard storage, which sounds like nothing, right? 150 megahertz for the processor, that's ridiculous. 8 megs of RAM, megabytes, listener, megabytes, not gigabytes, 8 megabytes of RAM. All of that sounds like an absolutely pathetic amount of power to be playing a full-fledged video game like, say, Doom. However, the original DOS release of Doom required a 386 CPU, which, if I'm remembering that correctly, had a speed measured in the tens of megahertz, not hundreds, 4 megs of RAM, and just a basic VGA card. So this charger has double the amount of RAM required to run Doom. So it is, in fact, technically an upgrade, though the display itself is 200 by 480 pixels, which makes it slightly off scale for Doom's 320 by 200 resolution. So the scaling is a little bit weird, but I don't know what else to say. Battery chargers with unnecessary screens on them seemed like a stupid thing. Turns out it's a Doom thing. It's there for the Doom modders. I love it.
You know, I'd also be willing to bet. I mean, I like Anker and their products. They're great. And I would not be surprised if the people at Anker are like, hey, if we were to do this, it might give some information to the person using the charger, but someone's going to mod it to put Doom on there. That's why we should greenlight this product. I wouldn't put it past people at Anker to be that person.
It's true. Honestly, that's true. It could 100% have gone that way. But yeah, there you go. Doom, always a bright spot in the week of tech. All right. Well, that brings us to the end of the episode, listener. Unless, Landon, you have one more thing?
No, I don't.
Okay. That tracks. All right. Then that's it. thank you for joining us this week, listener. We appreciate you jumping in. If you'd like to get a hold of us with feedback or questions or suggestions, or if you yourself have done some cool modding of something to put Doom on it and we missed it or something like that, then feel free to let us know all about it on our website, callingallplatforms.com, or you can find us on our socials at Twitter, because it's still called Twitter. Don't know if you knew that. We're also on Facebook. You can find us there as well. You can also email us at podcast@callingallplatforms.com. You can also find our YouTube channels for Calling All Platforms Tech and Calling All Platforms Gaming. And you can leave comments on those. I do, in fact, still see those, even though videos have not been posted in over a year at this point, but that's fine. You can also catch back up with us on the podcasting app of your choice next week. But until then, bye-bye.
See ya.
Calling All Platforms is a production of Supporter Sound Studios. To learn more about how you can support the podcast, go to www.patreon.com/callingallplatforms.